When the first human delegation arrived on a Lira 9, they expected diplomacy, not destiny. The planet shimmered like a gem in the velvet dark of space. Sky tinted lavender, oceans glowing faintly with bioluminescent coral. Its inhabitants, the Ilari, were a beautiful and advanced species known for their psychic resonance and their mysterious technology. The Soulmate indicator, an ancient device that activated only when two beings' energy patterns aligned perfectly. To humans, it was myth. To the Ilari, it was sacred. The diplomatic mission was meant to build trust between species after centuries of isolation. Among the human envoys was Captain Ryan Hale, a calm, analytical officer chosen for his adaptability and emotional control. He had trained to speak with alien diplomats, not to fall into legends. Among the Ilari, receiving them was Treya, daughter of the High Council's elder matriarch. Her silver skin shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes glowed faintly cyan, filled with empathy and curiosity. She'd studied human behavior for years, fascinated by how creatures so fragile could feel so deeply. When they met in the Hall of Convergence, the air itself seemed to hum. Ryan bowed slightly, his translator implant adjusting to the melodic Ilari language. "Captain Ryan Hale of the United Earth Alliance," he said. "It's an honor, Lady Treya." Her voice was soft yet resonant. "The honor is shared, Captain. Few humans have walked our land since the War of Silence. May this meeting mark a new beginning." Her words were formal, diplomatic, but something in her gaze lingered longer than custom allowed. The middle of the accident. The peace ceremony went as planned. For days, both species exchanged gifts and knowledge. The humans marveled at Ilari cities, built into floating cliffs and sustained by energy drawn from harmonic crystals that sang when touched by light. The Ilari, in turn, studied human physiology, fascinated by their emotional unpredictability. It was during one such demonstration that everything changed. Treya was leading Ryan through the resonance chamber, a vast circular hall pulsing with soft blue light. Each beam corresponded to an Ilari's soul frequency, a unique signature of life force energy. The Soulmate indicator was housed in the center, a crystal heart suspended above a dais, dormant for over 2 centuries. "Our ancestors built it," Treya explained. "It activates only when two beings are perfectly synchronized. No Ilari has triggered it in generations." Ryan smiled. "Sounds like a fairy tale." "Perhaps," she said, tilting her head. "Or perhaps we've grown too rational to believe." She guided him closer to the crystal. The air was warm, humming gently. But as Ryan reached out to examine one of the resonance pillars, he lost balance slightly. Out of instinct, Treya caught his arm. Their skin met for less than a second, and the chamber exploded in light. The crystal heart pulsed, once, twice, and then ignited with a golden radiance that filled every corner of the hall. The ground trembled. Resonance waves rippled outward, shaking the entire capital. "Treya," Ryan shouted, shielding his eyes. But she didn't move. Her breath caught in her throat. The markings along her neck, normally faint silver, flared into gold. Her heart raced with impossible intensity. Every nerve in her body screamed with recognition. The Soulmate indicator had activated. Council guards rushed in, weapons drawn, only to stop dead when they saw the ancient crystal spinning above the pair, glowing brighter with each passing second. A deep, melodic tone filled the chamber, echoing words from an ancient Ilari dialect. Connection detected. Frequency synchronization complete. When the light finally faded, Treya stood trembling, staring at the human before her, speechless. Ryan looked just as stunned. What just happened?" She swallowed, her voice barely a whisper. "You activated the indicator." The aftermath, chaos and fear. The next hours were chaos. The Ilari Council gathered in emergency session. The human delegation was confined to quarters for safety. The event had reignited fears long buried. The prophecy that if the Soulmate indicator ever glowed again, it would signal a union between worlds or the end of harmony. Treya was questioned relentlessly. "What were you doing in the resonance chamber? Did you manipulate the indicator? Is this human controlling you?" She answered with dignity, but little understanding. It was an accident. I touched him, and it awakened. In private, her mother, Elder Sarai, looked at her with a mix of sorrow and awe. Treya, no Ilaria is bonded beyond our kind since the age of stars. The council will see this as blasphemy, but I didn't choose this. Treya cried. The indicator chose. Her mother sighed. Perhaps, but love, if that's what this is, was never meant to cross species. Meanwhile, Ryan was interrogated by his own people. You touched her? His commander barked. She grabbed me to steady me. I didn't know. Captain, you've ignited a religious artifact that hasn't worked in centuries. You may have just jeopardized the entire mission. Ryan sat in silence. His mind wasn't on politics. It was on her. The way her eyes had widened when the light surrounded them. The tremor in her hand. The warmth he still felt, like an echo pulsing under his skin. He didn't believe in destiny. But something had changed in that moment. The connection deepens. 3 days later, they met again, secretly, inside the observatory dome overlooking the twin moons. Treya's voice shook as she spoke. Since that day, I hear things, feel things. Your emotions, perhaps, when you're near, it's as if your pulse matches mine. Ryan stared at her. That's impossible. Is it? She stepped closer. We are linked, Ryan hailed. My people's legends say the soulmate indicator doesn't just find love. It synchronizes two life forces. He hesitated, then whispered, and what happens to those who are synchronized? Treya looked down, her silver hair falling like liquid metal. If they stay apart too long, their energy weakens. They fade. The silence between them was heavy. Outside, the twin moons aligned perfectly in the violet sky. Ryan finally said, Then we stay close. Middle, love and danger. Weeks passed. Despite strict orders, Ryan and Treya continued to meet. Their bond deepened in ways neither could explain. When he was near, her telepathic abilities amplified. When she touched him, his body healed faster, his reflexes sharper. It was as though their biology had begun adapting to one another. They laughed, argued, learned. He taught her human humor and sarcasm. She taught him the Lira way of emotional resonance, how feelings could be sung, not spoken. But as their closeness grew, so did the tension around them. The council feared contamination of their pure frequencies. Some Lira extremists believed the human had cursed their sacred crystal. Meanwhile, Earth's commander saw opportunity. If they could study the bond, they might unlock new hybrid technologies. Both governments wanted control. Neither wanted love. One night, alarms blared through the capital. A militant faction of Ilari known as the Pure Light Circle stormed the human camp, shouting, End the false union! Purge the outsider! Ryan fought back alongside his team, but they were outnumbered. When Treya arrived, her markings blazing gold, she threw herself into the chaos, her psychic energy erupting like a storm. The attackers froze midair, suspended by invisible force. She turned to Ryan, trembling. They will never stop. The council wants to separate us. But if they do, one of us will die. He looked at her, no hesitation in his eyes. Then we run. The escape. They fled across the glowing plains of Lira 9, pursued by drones and soldiers from both factions. Their destination, the crystal core, the planet's oldest structure, where the first Ilaria connected their souls to the world itself. Legend said the core could rewrite bonds, allowing two beings to remain linked across any distance. If they could reach it, they might live together or apart. Exhausted, bleeding, they reached the core as dawn rose. The structure was colossal, half temple, half machine, its heart pulsing with the same golden light that had marked their bond. Ryan turned to her. If we do this, there's no going back. Treya smiled softly, tears in her luminous eyes. There was no going back the moment I touched you. They stepped onto the dais, hand in hand. The crystal responded instantly, recognizing them, the bonded pair. Energy surged upward, wrapping them in warmth and light. The voice of the ancient Ilari once again filled the air. Union recognized. Frequencies aligned. Worlds may divide, but the souls remain whole. Outside, the pursuing forces stopped in their tracks as the core's light expanded across the horizon. For a brief, breathless moment, Lira 9 glowed brighter than its suns, and then the light vanished, ending years later. 10 years passed. In the archives of both Earth and Lira 9, the Bond event was written as an anomaly, a joint energy phenomenon still under study. But few knew the truth. Far from both worlds, on a neutral colony world named Iron, a small research outpost stood hidden among blue hills. Its caretakers, one human and one Ilari, lived quietly, growing crops, raising seedlings, and sometimes staring at the stars. Ryan looked up from the field, sweat on his brow. "You ever miss the lavender skies?" Treya smiled, her golden markings faint but still shimmering. "Sometimes. But then I remember what we gained." He took her hand, feeling the familiar warmth that never faded. "The universe tried to keep us apart. And yet," she whispered, leaning her head against his shoulder, "here we are, above them." The 2 moons of Iron slowly aligned, casting twin shadows on the ground. The same soft hum that once filled the resonance chamber rippled faintly through the air. Somewhere deep within them, the ancient crystal's echo stirred, reminding them that the soulmate indicator had never been a myth. It had simply been waiting for proof that 2 souls, no matter their origin, could resonate as one. And in that quiet world under alien moons, proof lived and loved still.